All right, today we're diving into one of the most ambitious industrial projects in, well, modern history. We're talking about a high-stakes, $630 billion gamble to reclaim dominance in what is arguably the single most important industry of the 21st century, semiconductors.
So let's just get right to it. Why the huge rush? Why is the US government, along with private industry, pouring more money into this than the entire Apollo program that put a man on the moon, even when you adjust for inflation? Well, the answer starts with a pretty startling decline.
I mean, think back to 1990. The US was an absolute powerhouse, making almost 40% of the world's computer chips. But then, companies started moving production overseas to cut costs, and that number just plummeted. Today, it's down to just 10%. And look, this isn't just about losing market share. This was a massive wake-up call about a major vulnerability right at the heart of our modern world.
And that gets to the heart of the matter. This isn't just some abstract economic issue. You probably remember when the chip shortages of 2020 and 2021 brought car factories to a dead stop and delayed everything from medical devices to gaming consoles. That's when it became crystal clear that this was a national security issue.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting, and frankly, a little terrifying. When we talk about the most advanced chips, the brains behind our iPhones, NVIDIA's AI, and even top-tier military hardware, an absolutely astonishing 90% of them are made in just one place, Taiwan, a single geopolitically sensitive island.
So here's the bottom line. Analysts are pretty clear that any disruption to Taiwan's chip factories, whether it's from a conflict, a blockade, or even a natural disaster, could trigger a global economic collapse. Our entire world runs on these tiny things, and the supply chain is just incredibly fragile.
So, faced with that reality, what was the U.S. response? Well, nothing short of a moonshot. A plan to rebuild its domestic chip industry pretty much from scratch. And you are not going to believe the scale of the investment we're talking about. Get ready for this.
It all kicked off with the CHIPS and Science Act. And boom, an initial $52.7 billion in direct government funding for manufacturing and R&D. Now that's a huge number on its own, but believe me, that was just the opening bid.
Because then, the full legislative package authorized a mind-boggling $280 billion in total spending. This was a clear signal to the rest of the world that the U.S. wasn't just patching a hole, it was laying a new foundation for the next century.
And all that government money, it was designed to do one thing: ignite the private sector. By de-risking these massive, long-term projects, it unleashed an absolute flood of corporate investment. The grand total committed so far, over $630 billion. That is a staggering amount of capital being poured into bringing this one critical industry back.
So where's all this money actually going? Well, it's funding the construction of massive new factories. These so-called Silicon Heartlands, popping up in states like Arizona, Ohio, Texas, and New York. And the biggest names in the industry are getting a huge piece of the pie. We're talking giants like Intel, Taiwan's own TSMC, South Korea's Samsung, and the memory chip maker Micron. They've all secured billions to build these huge new fabs right here in the US.
And you know what? We're already seeing some pretty impressive results. TSMC's new facility in Arizona is actually matching the quality of its Taiwanese plants, which is proving a lot of skeptics wrong. Intel has launched the first sub-2 nanometer fab in the country. That means chips with features so tiny, they are pushing the very laws of physics. And SK Hynix is building a critical facility for packaging the advanced memory that powers AI. This isn't just talk. This is real, cutting-edge tech being built right now.
But make no mistake, this is not just about building factories. This massive industrial project is a key battleground in a rapidly escalating tech war with China.
And one of the key weapons in this conflict is something called the Foreign Direct Product Rule. It's an incredibly powerful tool that basically allows the U.S. to block the sale of almost any advanced chip to China, no matter where in the world it's made, as long as it uses American technology somewhere in the process.
And this all leads to a major choke point. See, the most advanced chips require this one special machine. It's called an EUV lithography tool. Only one company in the world, ASML in the Netherlands, makes them. And the US and its allies have made absolutely sure that not a single one of these essential machines has ever made its way to China. But China is fighting back. The US blocked their access to advanced tech, but then Huawei and SMIC completely stunned the world by producing a 7-nanometer chip using older equipment. So China then hit back by restricting its exports of critical minerals that are needed to make chips in the first place. It's a high-stakes chess match being played on a global scale.
But the biggest threats to America's semiconductor dreams might not be coming from China. They might be coming from right here at home. Let's take a look at the major hurdles that could derail this entire effort.
First up, people. The U.S. is on track to be short about 67,000 skilled semiconductor workers by 2030. You can build all the factories you want, but without the engineers, the technicians, and the scientists to run them, they're just empty buildings. And right now, we just don't have enough of them.
Then there's the cost. Building one of these state-of-the-art chip factories in the U.S. is twice as expensive as building one in Taiwan. And labor costs? They can be 4 to 5 times higher. That's a huge economic hurdle that even government subsidies can't completely erase.
And here's a perfect example of how these challenges are playing out in the real world. Intel's huge Silicon Heartland project in Ohio was supposed to be up and running by 2025. Well, now it's been delayed by 5 to 6 years, pushing the start date to 2030 or maybe even 2031. It's a tough lesson that having a big ambition is one thing, but actually pulling it off is something else entirely.
So this leaves us with the big question. The U.S. is all in on this plan. But will these new Silicon Heartlands be the foundation for a new era of American tech dominance? Or will they just end up as expensive monuments to an ambition that was too big to achieve? One thing's for sure, the next 5 years will be absolutely crucial.